All right, so today we're going to go through my framework and process for prospecting and how you can take this, implement it, and start prospecting like a pro. Okay. And it's really important to understand that as real estate agents, we are essentially paid to prospect, right? The clients, close deals, the commission checks, whatever it is, this is all a result of our efforts of prospecting. And if we don't have any clients and there's nothing else on the go, nothing else matters. Like, we have to focus 100% of our efforts on prospecting and creating conversations, because that's our highest priority and the biggest problem that we have to solve, right? And it's the prospecting efforts never stop. You kind of act as like a seesaw, right? So once you're slow, your prospecting efforts are up, but then as you get busier with clients and you're working towards getting the deal across the line, then your prospecting falls off a little bit because you're busy servicing the clients, right? Now, the really, really important thing is that when the prospecting stops, that's what ends up happening with the big ups and downs and the lulls and valleys, right? And we always want to keep that consistent effort for our prospecting, right? So one thing that I really kind of live and die by, it's, again, full transparency. This isn't ours. This is something that Alex Hormozi has in his book, which is called the Core Four. And essentially what the Core Four is it's the 4 pillars that we can implement in our business, and the actions that we create to bring in clients that take action within that each pillar. Okay. And I'll go into the pillars here in a second. But if we think of our business as a bar stool and we want our bar stool to stand and be as stable as possible, we want it to have as many legs, right, for it to remain sustainable. And these legs represent the amount of mechanisms from the Core Four that we use to bring in clients, right? So this way, when we have anything that comes across, whether it be a client or a deal that falls through, a market condition, or any other factor that renders one of the pillars unprofitable or unproductive, like a market slowdown, which we all go through, an ads account getting banned, which everyone goes through once in their online advertising career, and then like the big one right now, which is the NAR settlement in the States. This is a huge one, right? It's more of like a little speed bump rather than a complete collapse of your business. Okay. And if we think of our entire business, if it's solely sitting on one pillar or one leg of your bar stool, if something happens and it gets wiped out, the whole bar stool falls over, right? And this can be either inside or outside of your control. And the way that we kind of help mitigate that is by adding one of each pillar or more from the Core Four, right? And again, the game of business is to remain in business and have that longevity. And the way that we do that is to have multiple means of bringing in clients. Okay. So the first pillar, or the first of the Core Four, is your cold outreach, which is one-to-one prospecting, which means you're doing it face-to-face. You can only prospect to one person at a time with one conversation, right? So like this is what a lot of newer agents are forwarded to focus on. And this is your door knocking, your cold calling, your open houses. And I use Facebook Marketplace pretty frequently as well. And then you go to your warm outreach. So these are people that know you, they like you, they trust you, and there's a bit more of a relationship developed. And these are your warm calls, SOI, and your referrals. Okay. Now, the difference between the two obviously is whether the relationship has been developed or not, and that know, like, and trust factor is there or not. Okay. Now we go into our paid advertising, which is like your online ads, your bus bench ads, billboards, TV, whatever it is. And although this is more like one-to-many prospecting, which means you're paying to get in front of more people. And this is where you kind of start incorporating like leverage, right? You start buying back some of your time, and you're getting in front of more people. Whereas with warm outreach and cold outreach, that's more one-to-one, right? Now, what we do, like the most effective, and why I'm so adamant and so all in on content, is free content, right? And that is it's the highest leverage form of prospecting, because again, you're going one to many. But you're also dealing with people that are most like you, that know, like, and trust you. And like personally for me, I enjoy shooting content. I enjoy educating people and helping people, right? And that's how you ultimately position yourself to attract people, is through content, right? But not to say like I don't focus specifically on content. I still do all of the other forms of prospecting and bringing in business, and that's why right now, like, I'm the busiest I've ever been. Okay. Because I made the decision that I'm always going to do it consistently. We're going to go into my daily regimen here in a second, but I made the decision to focus the majority of my activities towards prospecting and move the needle activities, right? So I incorporate at least one of each of the core four every single day in my activities, and this ensures that I always have business coming in. I'm always having conversations, and when times are when we're busy and things are going good, I don't let off the gas, because that's what helps me take that massive step. But when things are slow and we hit a market slowdown, we're at Christmas, whatever it is, I don't take my foot off the gas either, because the efforts that I did earlier on, that it acts as an insurance of anything that could slow down the business, whether it be inside my control, outside my control, market conditions, whatever it is. What's really, really important to understand is, like, the top producing agents, top producing business owners, they determine their own success. They determine their own production. It's all within their control. They don't let the market or outside conditions kind of dictate how they are going to produce. They rather go out and do the action that creates the opportunities. Okay. So now what's important is the schedule, right? So for me, like, I live and die off of my calendar. If it's not on my calendar, it like literally doesn't exist. Like, if you don't send me an invite, if it's not blocked off, it's not happening. Okay. So for this, like, it's so important, because not just for like organizing and planning my day, but it also sets the intentions of my time. Right. And although things come up, clients call, like, we got to schedule impromptu meetings and stuff like that, still having that intent around that time, it goes, and like, I know, like, that time in the morning is going to be spent towards this activity. And it kind of gives me that baseline of intent of what that time is going to be used for, right? And as prospecting is the most valuable activity, it really drives the blood and the oxygen in the business. And it's like, again, it's blocked off for the majority of my calendar throughout the day. I'm going to go over this here in a second. But these activities includes like talking and checking in with clients, having conversations, creating content. And yes, creating content is a form of prospecting. It is the best form of prospecting that you can do. Okay. So in terms of schedule, this is the schedule that I live and die off of. Okay. I've played around with it over the years, done like night shifts, day shifts, morning shifts, played around with it. And again, like this is always susceptible to change, but this is kind of the baseline that I start at. And it really puts the focus on the way that I found I'm most productive, the way that best serves me, and the way that gets me in my best physical and mental state to attack every single day, right? And it really allows me to focus on the activities that I need to do to move the business forward and to get me into the state that I know that I have to, okay? So for me, I like anytime I have a lull in my business, I always reverse engineer it and see like where things fell off. Okay. So usually for me, it usually is because I get too busy. I start making sacrifices on my my sleep, my diet, and then ultimately my working out and my physical, and it ultimately affects my physical and mental state. Right. So anytime I get myself out of those lulls, it always starts with working out. And I am such a big advocate of exercising, at least for me specifically, first thing in the morning. I like crushing out a good workout, sweating, doing a steam and a cold shower. Like it literally like changes. Like even if I wake up in the worst possible mood, it just puts me in such a good headspace, and such a good headspace because of the endorphin rush, and it really just sets the pace for the rest of the day. You start off with a quick win. And like when you start the day with a quick win, again, it sets the pace for the rest of the day, and you can continue that momentum throughout a lot of your income producing activities. Okay. I also like to spend, whether I'm traveling or whether I'm in the office, like I will spend time preparing. And the way that I do that is by writing down like my goals and the 3 items or the 3 actions that I need to prioritize that day. Because for us, as realtors, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, like there's a million things that we can do with our day, but there's only so many things that are going to have the highest yield on our time, right? We want to focus on the conversations we need to have. We need to focus on the activities that are going to move the needle forward the farthest and generate the most revenue for our business. Okay. So I prepare for that to make sure I set the intent of what I'm going to focus on. And then from 7 to 10:30, that's what's focused on content creation, on prospecting, in those early morning hours. That's also when I'm the freshest and I can produce content at the highest capacity. And then from 10:30 to 12, that's usually like my sales training, my role play, essentially just working through different scenarios with other agents, other team members, and going through, like these processes and essentially sharpening the axe, if you will. So when these situations do come up in real time, like we're well versed on how to navigate them so we can get deals across the line. 12 to 1 is my lunch period. It is non-negotiable for me. I take that time off now. I used to make sacrifices on it. I don't do it anymore. And then from 1 to 2, I'll do my coaching calls, my meetings, stuff like that. And then from 2 to 3, I recently, like full transparency, I just started implementing this. But from 2 to 3, I usually take a nap. And the reason is because I found out that my office space now has a nap area, and I block it off every day. And it's because the reason I do this is because I end up working later into the evenings, especially right now during the spring market. It's a lot busier. So because I wake up so early, to be able to do like 4 a.m. to 7, 8 p.m. all in one go, it can be like, it's a bit of a stretch. I usually start crashing around 4 or 5. So I found that if I get that like at least a half hour or an hour nap, I can get that extra leg in towards the end of the day. And then from 3 to 7, that's where I focus on like prospecting, or if I have clients that need to go out on appointments, showings, or like listing presentations, or any sort of sales activities. That's what that time is used for. If there's nothing going on that evening, then I will prospect. I will make calls. I will go on dials. I will produce content, which I'm doing tonight, right? And then from there, usually I'll wrap, like by 7 o'clock, I'm just like completely brain fried, and then I'll disconnect, go on YouTube, and then from 8 to 4, we do it all over. I rest, and then we do it all over again. Okay. So if you add all that up, my total time spent prospecting is 9 hours, okay, or prospecting or sales activities, right? Most people don't even do an hour or 2 hours, okay, which is like for us, for realtors in a sales commission only role, like you'd think that a lot of people would allocate a lot more time to this, but this is why 87% of agents fail, right? And this is why you're going to succeed, is because you're going to create a schedule that works best for you, that is solely focused on the sales related activities that drive the needle forward. And that's where you're going to start seeing the massive strides within your business, right? So for me, consistency is the real key here. No matter how busy I am, I always make time to maintain my baseline, and I know what's going to continue to serve me in the short term and the long term. And that includes my physical and mental well-being, as well as the prospecting activities, right? Because you're still going to see lulls, but nothing creates the bigger ups and downs than inconsistency in your prospecting. Okay. So in terms of like my daily regimen for weekdays, I do my hour workout. I always do 2 marketplace postings. My assistant helps me out with that. So I go about this 2 different ways. So either 100 dials, 50 doors, or 1 open house, right? If I'm busy and I'm like actively with clients, I'll do 1 of each of these. Okay. At the minimum. Again, I always strive for more, but this is the very minimum. Okay. And then 10 conversations. Okay. But if I'm slow, and I'm not working with any clients that evening, or don't have any sales activities going on, I will do all of these, right? So I will do the dials, I'll do the doors, and depending if it's like a Thursday, Friday, or evening, I will do an open house as well. Okay. So I'll also have 10 conversations, and then at the minimum, I'll do one piece of content produced. But right now we're doing like 2 to 3 per day. Okay. Now on the weekends, it's a little bit different, right? I ease up a little bit. I still do my hour workout. I still do my marketplace postings, and then I'll do my open house. And depending on how much of an animal I'm feeling like, I will knock the doors for that open house. Okay. So if you are not where you want to be right now in your business and life, like truly seriously, just analyze what you are doing with your time. Is it producing you income? Is it a sales focused activity? And how, like, if you are too busy, how can you create more of that time that's sales focused, so you can focus on prospecting and producing more revenue that's going to ultimately serve you. Okay.